All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out for everybody so we're going to join in here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let me get this tweeted out for everybody so we're going to join in here. Good. Well, happy Easter, everybody. I hope everybody had a wonderful, blessed, and awesome holiday weekend. And here we are, Sunday night, April 12th, 2020. Almost halfway through April, if you guys can believe it. So here we are. So this week we're gonna have a fun discussion on detecting trend and what to do once we find the trend. It's not just detecting trend; it's what do we do once we have a trend. Right? It's pretty important stuff. So today we're going to be talking about trend lines. I think probably one of the most powerful tools for determining trend. In fact, I think the most powerful tool in my humble opinion. So we'll look at that one, and then we'll take a look intraday to see, or even on the shorter term time frames to see how we can use that trend to our favor. Before we get started, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice, so please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, well, let's check and see where we left off in the market on Thursday. So short week last week with the Good Friday holiday. So here we are. Here's the monthly chart. Here's April. This is the monthly candle so far. Not over yet, right? We still have half a month left. But the amazing thing is that we've gotten back over this big red line right here, this 50 monthly moving average, right, over the cloud, and so that's good if we could stay here, right? So we're out of the bear market territory, but there's plenty of month left where we can end our way back. Then we'll take a look at the futures in a little bit and see where we're at there. Weekly chart, nice follow through last week, right? So we had a couple upper shadows here. We had a bullish engulfing candle on the weekly, right? We had an upper shadow right here off of that one that showed that it wanted to go back down, and it did. We had a red week last week, but it couldn't reclaim 50% of the range of this candle, and we got some nice follow through the following week here, last week, to the upside on SPX. So good stuff there. Of course, general context, we're still below the 30 weekly moving average. That's this blue line right here. That's a key level, right? Composure level that we look at in the market. You can see how we broke down right here with this big inside week under that 30 weekly moving average. So we got that big move down off of that. And now we're kind of working our way up a little bit. And let's take a look at the daily chart. So one of the things that we talked about in our newsletter this weekend was the wave count, was the wave pattern on this one. And so we could see a couple different things we could look at. Right, we have our possible wave 1, 2, right? 1, 2, 3, and maybe this is wave 4 because we haven't crossed over wave 1 yet. If that count is valid, we may see a wave 5 down. If not, if this wave is over, then we may be working our way up. This could be wave 1, 2, we might be working on 3, a little bit of a pullback here, 4 or 5, and work our way back up. So we'll see where we're at right there. But this is very important here. You can see the trend lines that are on here is we're actually trending up right now. So how do we work with that, right? So very important stuff. Let's take a look at the price action and see how things worked out on Thursday. Let's go to the 15-minute chart. So we had as you can see here on the daily, right? We had kind of this kind of spinning top type day. It was a 56-point range, which is typically a big range for the SPX, but recently it's been a small range, right? So just comparatively, right? So we had 136-point range right here, 105, right, 102, and then 56. So a little bit of a spinning top right here. So we'll see how that plays out into tomorrow. Sometimes those can be reversals, but those spinning tops, right? When we look at those, they can be pretty choppy days. So we saw a choppy Thursday, right? But it makes sense before a holiday, a lot of traders gone, things like that. So pretty interesting stuff. We gapped up on Thursday, right? Pushed up. We just couldn't get over this hammer right here, and then we worked our way back down. We just kind of stayed within this 15-orb range for the majority of the day. There was some pretty good setups, right? We had a couple trades, right? We had a nice short on SPY that we took here intraday. A little hammer that got us to the bottom of the 15-orb, then an inside 15 up. A couple things like that. But other than that, there wasn't a lot of movement that was going on intraday. So that's okay. But it's what we have to deal with, right? So if we go back, right, this is the ninth. These are the levels that we provide to our members for each market. You see how important these levels are to get tested. We couldn't get to this R2 level. We tested the prior day's high, but we couldn't fill that open gap, right? So there's a little open gap below right there, and we came back in and kind of tested these levels here. So good stuff with that. So let's get to the topic here. We'll go through the topic, and then we'll go questions and chart requests. So this week we're going to be talking about detecting trend, and we're going over trend lines. So most people who've been following me for a little bit, usually every Saturday I tweet out the trend line video because it's so powerful. It's important to see how we look at trend lines. And once we're in trend, right, the concept is we don't want to trade against the trend, right, if we don't have to. And that's an important consideration to keep a look at. So let's take a look. Let's go back to SPX here and go back to the daily chart. right? And let's go back to where this whole thing, let's go here. Let's go back to when things, kind of broke down, right? So this is kind of a key area of, consideration. Now, do we know this thing was going to go crazy like this and just, go super down, right? No, not necessarily, right? So we had our trend line. This is our, the intermediate, the minor trend line up, right? And then we gap below it, right? You can see how we do these trend lines, right? We go from low to high, and then we just find the next point where it doesn't intersect anything else, which is right here, right? And then after that, we tend to put a trend box on, right? So if we do break below it, then we want to just get that pivot right there, and we put it around the high and low of that. So there's your trend box right there. And once we break below that trend box, right, the trend has shifted, right? And so now we're downtrending, right? So we're out of the trend box right here after this day, right? And we start to work our way down. So what do we do there? We draw a fresh trend line. Okay, so we get our trend line here. If you go from here, it's a little bit goofy, right? I mean, that's not really, of course it's below the trend line there, but you find the next one that makes sense, right? So you go here. Here's your low at the time, right, early on. Then we go here. You can see we stayed below this trend line. Even when we bounced, we were below the trend line, right? So that's a very important consideration, right? So when we're using these trend lines and we're below it and we know the trend has become down, especially after this one. So starting on this day, right, if we got short this day, that's fine. But this day right here, so this was the February 26th, through the 28th, right? So now we want to look, we know the trend is down, so what can we do intraday? Right, so we could either, sit. If we're swing traders, we gotta kind of just sit and wait. Try to get as much profit as we can to the short side. Obviously, this gets really nasty right here because it comes up right to where we would have entered off of this candle, and but not stopped out if your stop is up here, right? So it comes right there and then it continues to work its way down pretty massively, and that's the thing with going short, right? When things really start to break down, is they can really break down hard, right? Especially the news is like it is with all the Corona stuff. Okay, so let's go back to the 26th. Right, and kind of look for some setup. So when we're going down like this, we're not looking to buy the dip right here because the trend has changed, right? So we're below this trend line now. So we look for setups to the downside on those. So let's take a look. Let's go back to the 26 here. Let's go to let's try to go to the 15-minute chart. We'll go back. Oh, can you believe it's been a couple months already? Let's go back 90 days. It's gonna be pretty crazy right here. So let's go back here. So let's go to the 26. So we'll go here. These 3 days here are key days. Okay, so what we're doing is on these days is we're looking for setups on those intraday time frames to short, right? To look for opportunities to go short. So one thing we can do, right, is use our trend lines on the intraday time frames and look for those short setups, right? So if we go here, this is the 26th. We're nowhere in a downtrend macro-wise. So we see that, they pushed up here, and in our mind, we're like, okay, we're still trending down. So what we're looking for is an opportunity to go short. Got a high right here. Right, so you get a trend line right here, and then once we broke down through that trend line, same technique. You do it on a fractal basis right here. So here's your high of the day. Right, here's your breakdown of the trend line right there. Right, and once you push below it, you look for short setups. You can short off of this candle. You can either do a momentum move through the trend box, which gives a nice move down here. So in this case, 31.62 down to 31.53 for 10 points. Right, and if you have your stops reasonably set, right, where you've got your profit locked in, right, you push yourself down even, it pushes down even farther, right? So that gives a huge move right out of that trend box right there, 31.61 all the way to 31.28, right? Almost 35-point move, right, to the downside, right? And then we get some sideways action. We get a little bear pennant. Oh, we get a little bear pennant right here. Okay, a little triangle. Right, we did a little video on triangles right there, and boom, you get a momentum breakdown through the triangle right there. You get a huge move, right? So 31.38 for another move down to 31.11, right? For another almost a 30-point move down, right? So pretty impressive stuff, really, if you combine the two trades together. And that was a minor day on that, right? So, but that's what we look for, right? We're not looking to buy the dip when the macro trend is down. Okay, so similar stuff too the next day, right? The trend continued downside, right, on the 27th. Okay, so we have a kind of a short candle right here. Then we finally have this inside candle, right? We know the inside candles. We know how those work. We talked about those last week, right? So the inside candles themselves typically form a triangle. Then we break down the triangle for a momentum of 30, 40, right, down to 30. So almost a 35-point move down there. And then they try to buy it up and all that stuff, right? So we could look to go here. We got two upper shadows right here at the prior height of the day. We could look to short off of that candle for a quick move down, right? Continues to work its way up, and then we get this nasty Maribozu candle here, which really works its way down, right? Really works its way down for the rest of the day, right? And then for the next day, right? Finally, here we could see here when things really started to kind of work its way down a little bit more. And I can see they were starting to bottom a little bit. There's some bottoming patterns right here. We got a lower shadow right here. They couldn't break down off of these shooting stars. See, there's even a line right here. This is a key level, right? We go back to the daily chart right here. If we go back here, right? Once we broke down here, look what this level this hit. You still have to keep in mind your levels. right? Not going to go down forever. Huge pivot point right here on the SPX. So that held that day. Okay, and then you look for potential, at that point you can kind of switch a little bit, do some tactical stuff with reversals. Then we came back to the macro trend line down, failed, inside day down, and now the trend is back down again. And you can just kind of rinse and repeat and go back while we're still under this trend line right here and look for those setups to the downside. Of course, as we move down, the farther down we move, right? And the faster down we move, the higher the volatility gets. That's why you get these big reversal spikes too. So you gotta be careful with that. But when we're below the trend line, we look for these intraday moves to the downside, right? And so now let's go back to where we are today. Let's fast forward to where we are today. So we've not only have we confirmed above this trend line, this intermediate trend line right here, but we've confirmed above the original macro trend line here. It's a pretty complex move the last couple weeks, right? We finally broke above this. Right, get a minor pivot right here, and it couldn't confirm above it. It continued to work its way down, right? So this is what I call the chop zone, right? We talked about chop slop last week, right? So we got back in the chop. Then we broke above it right here. Volatility is still high, so quick moves down. But we are now working our way up, right? And so as we're doing this, right, now we're looking for intraday, overall looking for those nice intraday long setups, right? And we'll, especially here, we're getting a little extended, right? So there's a couple things we can look at. We look at the McClellan oscillator, right? A lot of folks like to look at that. If you go here, you go McClellan. That's one great reversal instrument detection. So we've done some videos on that before. As you go here, the McClellan oscillator is super duper extended, right? It's up at like 360, right? So that's a big area. So we might be tapping out here a little bit, might be coming back. I'm not saying we're gonna necessarily break down unless that wave 4 theory breaks out. In order for me to get really bearish on this thing, we'd have to confirm below this new upward trend line, right? So as we're working our way up here, we're going to see how that behaves, right? We might give it a sharp pull back here and then continue to work our way up. As long as we're above this trend line, the trend is bullish until proven others, and we'll look for intraday long setups. Okay, so that's the idea there. Definitely something to keep an eye on here. So we're going to continue to monitor this week. Let's go ahead and take a look at the futures. I meant to look at those a little bit earlier. Let's take a look and see what the futures are doing this evening. So we're down 34 right now. You can see this is just on the daily chart of the S&P, the ES, the E-minis. You see we've pulled back a little bit here this evening. Let's go here and see. So this was fun. We did a little futures session tonight with the group. And we actually shorted this like pretty quickly, right? Because of the intensity of this candle, right? Of the candles at the open. They gapped it up. They couldn't get any higher really quickly, and it got really red really quickly. So it showed there was a lot of momentum to the downside. We shorted that here at the open of the futures. Now we're kind of in the chop zone, right? We're back here. Now, are we forming a pennant? Perhaps. Right, so let's just kind of go with our levels that we have, some sort of triangle formation going on now. So let's see if we can break out of this right into the evening, and maybe we'll finish the evening green, and then we'll be sticking with the trend, right? So that's kind of what we're monitoring here going through the evening. So again, you'll probably see me tweet this stuff out in the morning, and we'll see where we're at. We'll see where we're at in the morning and see what kind of setups we have going into this week. But in general, we kind of have a little bit of a bullish sentiment, even though we know that we're a little bit extended. We may pull back to that macro trend line. So we're going to stay tactical here because we could be back in the chop zop zone going in for the rest of the week. So, but it should be an interesting week. I think we've got a full one ahead, so it could be interesting. We're nice mid-month, right? So we could get some fun intraday action going on. So good stuff. Well, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. So at this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window. We'll get through as many as we can and try to wrap up as early as possible so we can all get an awesome night's sleep and have a great trading day tomorrow. So let me clean this up a little bit here. Let's get the McClellan off there. Just kind of see where we're at. So good. So Swagmaster sent in a few via DM. So let's see what we got here, or via Twitter. So we've got Docu on the list. Docu's been a huge topic recently. A lot of folks have been talking about it. And I get it. It's had some big days, so it gets people interested. But as far as I can tell on this thing, we're just in this this crazy megaphone formation, right? This big move up right here, this big move down. And so we're kind of in this chop zone right now. So we could be doing a diamond. They could be setting up with a diamond reversal setup right here, which comes out of this diamond right here, works its way back down to the megaphone. It could be a diamond continuation pattern, works to the upside. So we'll look for continuation on this one. Again, a pretty decent close on Friday. On Thursday with increased volume. So we'll see how well that holds up going into to this week. Again, that's hands off for me on that one. But it is interesting, potential sign from home type stuff. Right, work was pretty interesting too. Work really did a great job working its way up. You see our trend line right here. We got, started to work our way up the trend line, right? We confirmed above it, right? Trend was up, bullish, still proven otherwise, right? Hits a high right here. There's your trend, very, very tight trend up. Then we started to break down again, right? We here's this beautiful shooting star, which moves its way down. And you can see what happened up here. We get upper shadow here, upper shadow here, upper shadow here, upper shadow here off of all these levels. Some would call this a supply zone, resistance zone. It just works its way down, right? So we're starting to kind of chopping around in here right now. So it's we're spinning top right at the 50 moving average. This is a tough one to find a commitment on either way, but yeah, just kind of see if it gives us any setups kind of going forward on that one. And then Halliburton, again, interesting here, right? So lots of action on oil this week, right? The OPEC Plus meeting this week. There were some good moves on oil, some intraday stuff that was interesting. Our members pointed out some great stuff, like on Oxy for a big move, right? Halliburton took the inside day up, it gapped up right here, double inside day up, but it just keeps on fading those really hard, right? So I mean, we've got this kind of a goofy, and one of the things I like about trend lines is I like the trend lines to be reasonable, right? The slope of it to be at least like 45 degrees. I mean, right now this is like a 25-degree angle right here, so it's still kind of a choppy type trend line right there. So again, I'd like to just see more confirmation. I'd like to see one of these candles actually confirm bullishly, right? Every push move with volume has reversed, right? We are seeing an 8 EMA start to move up, things like that. So let's see how it holds on that one. Okay. Good stuff. And then Shirley, I typed it in twice. Shirley's emailed a few in. She's emailed a bunch in. But let's take a look at a couple of the key ones right here. So JD forming a triangle right here, right? So really nasty price action on the daily charts, guys. Big upper shadows, even on the move up, on the way up. This is really, really tricky right now. I mean, if we do have a breakout candle here with some good volume, we might see a little bit of move up. But this is tricky. A lot of the Chinese names have been tough recently after the Luckin Coffee issue, right? Luckin is held right now, so is halted right now, so because of fraud type stuff. So there's a lot of scrutiny going on with these Chinese names. So just be careful with that. V. Tried to take a little bit of a hammer up the other day. This was its breakout level. It looked like it held it as support, but now it's kind of chopping around a little bit. I mean, we are trending up. So, but we may pull back. If anything, it looks like we're in a channel right now, so which we'll be talking about a little bit more this week. USO. Again, same stuff with the oil, so we'll see how that opens going into tomorrow. Oil futures right now are up about $1. So could be something interesting going into this week, but something to keep an eye on. With USO, again, not compelling either way. It is every up move is coming down, so possible opportunity to look for some short things going on there. Guild. Again, this is just like Docu. Again, it's another one of those kind of Corona plays that is just in this nasty, crazy chop zone right here. So it's in this megaphone right in the middle of it. Really tough to find any commitment on that thing right now. And then Oracle. Let's take a look at Oracle. So Oracle's been doing pretty good. I really love this candle this day. It was a beautiful candle. It didn't have increased volume over the prior day, but it was a nice breakout candle. It closed over a lot of levels. You got a little bit of it gapped down, but pushed above it a little bit, and it just couldn't do it, right? Here's your upper shadow right here, right? Then your upper shadow here, inside day down, right? And now it's just kind of doing a little bit of a channel up right now. So it might be getting a little extended here. It's right at the 200-day moving average. Just be careful with it. The trend is up, okay? So it is bullish, still proving otherwise. But just watch. It's got an upper shadow here. At these prior levels, there's a gap above. You got your 200-day moving average right there. Just really, really tricky stuff. Good stuff. Great charts, guys. Bagash, what's going on? Good evening. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're doing great. Yeah, let's take a look here. We got UUP. Doobie-doobie-doo. Okay, so UUP, dollar index, bullish ETF. So we got, this thing's getting pretty tight right here, right? We look at this triangle here. This trend line tried to break out a little bit, and then it got choppy and came back in. So it's getting really tight here. See if it gives you a breakout candle one way or the other on this one. STMP, this is one I don't trade. It gets really tough with the spreads. It always has been. It's even worse when the volatility is high. There's a, kind of a low slope trend line here is a little bit better here on the shorter term intermediate. So it's kind of working its way up a little bit here. Spinning top, possible cloud breakout potential to see how that holds right there. And I don't know if I had any news or anything like that after hours. No. So just kind of keep an eye on it. It looks interesting. It's a tough one to trade. Unless you're doing a lotto through earnings. Some of our members do trade it, some out of the monies and do okay with it. Costco is looking pretty interesting, guys. It's crazy. It's a mess, but instead of a megaphone, at least it's kind of getting tight in here. I'd like to see it get above this 50 moving average. Spinning top, it held the 80 MA. If you go to the the lower time frames, it's holding some key levels. It's got this thin cloud right here. So let's see if it can break above it. Had good numbers, that came out, and it broke down on those good numbers because they said it wasn't as good as Wall Street expected. But if it does hold these levels, it does hold the cloud and can get back above this 50 moving average, we might be able to get above this geometric line right here, right? If we can do that, then Costco may try to plow its way up a little bit. So definitely one we're keeping an eye on. DG. Yeah, Dollar General. So again, try to break out above. It's minor pivots right here. It's kind of consolidating in these levels. Just watch these levels right here. Inside day. If it breaks it down, it might come test these levels. If it breaks it up, right, it might find a little resistance up there too. So it's kind of a tough area right here. See if it consolidates for a little bit. It could be kind of a macro funky cup and handle working on that type of thing. So Boeing is pretty interesting too. Ooh, there's all our levels. One second, guys. Let's get this pulled up here. Okay, so macro trend line down, right? It gave its first pivot here. First breakout pivot right there. So we want to see if we can close bullishly above that with some volume. Otherwise, spinning top here off an inside day, kind of back in the range. So it might come back and test that. If it does, right, it could be back below the downward trend line, and then we might actually look for some short setups on that one. So good stuff. Matt, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed your long weekend too. It definitely was nice. It's amazing. Sunday's already here, so another week ahead. QLYS. Let's take a look here. So QLYS, yeah, good moves right here on this one. It's definitely working its way up. Nice find on this. Good volume on Thursday. Bit of an upper shadow, so just be careful with that. It's kind of it looks like it's in price discovery territory up here. It did finally get above these macro pivots here. So that's good. So see if it can consolidate and hold above that, and then it may continue to work its way up. So nice catch on that one. Roku. We looked at this a little bit earlier. I had I've got this here, but we could have done like a bull flag like this. Right, we started to break above it too, and it's just not getting any movement out of there. The volume is kind of soggy, right? We're just not getting any breakout type moves right here, so it's tough, right? So but one of the things I do like about it is we have a double inside week, right? So if we could break out of this double inside week, we may be able to come back and test that kind of that 101 level. So we're going to be looking at that one. So that looks good, or interesting at least, from that consolidation. Contraction could lead to expansion. Shop is pretty interesting too. We've, I love these tweezer tops right here at the cloud. That was off of an inside day too, and that just kind of worked its way down a little sideways, and then got that nice drop off of it, right? And then it tried to break out of this trend line again. Here's your levels it's got to get above, and it's just kind of struggling right here. So Friday left an upper shadow, same area of another upper shadow here, same area of a breakdown level right here. So just be careful with that if it wants to try to work it to test some levels back down again. And then, of course, BA we just looked at just a little bit ago. Just tricky here, right? If it wants to get strong, it's got to close over this pivot level. Then we might be able to see it work its way up. Otherwise, it may come back and get back below that trend line on the downside. This is good stuff. Great charts. Paul, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in, man. Cloud Guy, hey, what's going on? Thanks for making it. ZEK, what's going on? Hope you're doing great. Hope you had a great weekend. JP Morgan, yeah, guys, so thank you for mentioning JP Morgan. Yeah, so, guys, earnings season is starting this week, so we've got the financials reporting. So this should be interesting. This would be a good indication of what's in store, right, for this week. So, we know that most companies are going to be reporting some bad numbers, and we know that most companies have withdrawn their guidance, right? So now we just have to see how how the market is going to treat these guys if they have these misses, right? So let's keep an eye on it. We had a huge day on Friday, right? It's big volume, nice green candle, a little bit of an upper shadow at a prior level, nice gaps above. So it might be doing a little bit of an earnings run this week. So definitely something to keep an eye on here. Earnings are going to be Tuesday morning, so that could be an interesting one to keep an eye on there. Tesla, decent close on Thursday, right? Inside day up, and it held, right? A lot of stuff, gave upper shadows. This one held. It's kind of a, kind of a little bit of a small candle for Tesla, but good volume, decent candle, decent close above a minor pivot. Just keep an eye on Tesla. It might give a little bit of a move to the upside on that one. In fact, that's going on the bullish radar for tomorrow. Okay, good. And what else? Oxy, yeah. So Oxy is another one, good one to take a look at here. So Oxy's not only, it's been a drama stock too. Carl Icahn and everything. Executives quitting, getting pay cuts and all that stuff. So decent close above the minor pivot level. Well, this is going to actually break out of the trend line here, but decent little candle right here. I tried to get above it again on Friday, but a lot of these oil stocks, they had this huge move at the open, and then just lost it all during the day. Just nasty, like H-cell setup right there. It was just funky, right? So big move back right there. So just be careful with it, right? So we'll see how the news over the weekend. Lots of news with Mexico and the oil discussion. So we'll see how that goes. And what else? And then Starbucks. Yeah, this is the real liquid gold right here, guys. Inside day up on Thursday. Right, still below the 50 moving average, but I like Starbucks. It looks bullish going into tomorrow, so let's see if that can get any strength going into tomorrow as well. So nice move there. Just watch the 50 moving average there as some potential resistance. So Cloud Guy. So looks like you wrote something a little bit later. We'll get to that in a second. So Jay, what's going on? Oh yeah, Chewy, ridiculous, guys. I think Chewy was really starting to show some good stuff on Wednesday. We talked about it here on Wednesday. Nice, a little bit of an upper shadow, but wow, if you use that level as a nice breakout level right there, you got a huge move on Chewy on this one. I wouldn't be surprised to see some upgrades on this going into this week. So here's your move over that key level, the prior day's high, and then nice hammer right here with big volume. And when that volume comes in like this after the open, boom, that's just great buying opportunity right there. A little bit of a pullback, right, for a nice move up, here from 39.59 to 42, almost a 3 point move right there, and it went even higher after just a 3 candle bear flag on the 15. So pretty amazing move on Chewy. Now, is it going to get? It could be a little bit extended right here. RSI is a little bit overbought. Might need some time to cool off a little bit, but you not surprised if we see some upgrades coming into to Monday or something like that. So very very strong move last week. Great catch on that one. Cloud Guy, is any indicator or study in TOS for trend lines? No, it's a skill because some folks draw trend lines differently. I draw it based on Trader Vic, his methods, and from a couple of his books that are out there, Methods of a Wall Street Master. Just a great tool to use on this. It's probably something that could be programmed. All you got to do is go to your dates, your current date, right? And it's got to find maybe like a pivot level type thing, and just kind of just draw it, and then find the only point that doesn't intersect. So there's probably a little programming involved there, but I haven't seen one that draws them quite like this. But there may be one out there. If you find any, let me know. Samit, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, let's take a look. So you got CVS. Yeah, so CVS, pretty interesting right here. It's trying to get out of a couple key, kind of pivot levels right here. Decent volume on Friday, a little bit of an upper shadow. See if we can break above Friday's high for more strength. ABT. Yep, definitely trending up right here. Nice hammer, good volume. Earnings coming up pretty soon, so see if it can continue to hold that trend through earnings. And the CODX. Good, yeah. A couple good, nice Corona plays right here. So at this point here, it looks like a triangle type thing that we're working on. So just kind of see how it handles those geometric levels there. So good stuff. Ernesto, yeah, my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Session, what's going on? FSLY. Let's take a look. So FSLY, so here we are. So, we're right at it's fresh 200 moving average. It looks like an anchored VWAP. Upper shadow right here. See if it can, kind of close above this, get above the cloud, right, and try to work its way up before that cloud starts to drop again. Triple M. Yeah, getting tight in here, guys. Getting pretty tight. So looking like a little bit of a pennant. So see if we can break out of there. IBM. Yeah, it looks a lot like the market. Looks almost exactly like the market. So this seems to be moving, kind of fluidly with that. So just upper shadow if the market pulls back. IBM maybe make a pullback. Home Depot, yeah, starting to get some strength here. Big doji day, right? So let's see if we can kind of close above those levels. You got a little bit of a gap right there. See if it can work its way up. And then RTX, here's the new one on the the Dow after this merger, right, with UTX and RTN. So inside day up on Friday, and then kind of reclaim some of its levels right there. So definitely an interesting one to keep an eye on. And Sumit, yeah, KMI. Yep, Kinder Morgan. Let's see how this is looking. So Kinder Morgan. Okay, yeah, nice little breakout candle right there. We did close above it, so just kind of keep an eye on it, see if we can push above the prior day's highs on that. Looks like it's trying to work on an uptrend. And good, great stuff, Sumit. Appreciate it. Watch it corner. What's going on, Neo? Yeah, so Neo, this is another one too that just kind of off of the Luck and Coffee stuff got nice little got hit on that one. It's kind of planted here below its this 200 moving average is like a horizontal line, right? So just be careful with that. Inside day down, close below the 8 EMA could come back and test a couple of these levels down here on Neo. Just be careful with these Chinese, especially these kind of cheap Chinese names like that. They could get delisted, or we'll see what happens with Luckin first. So good stuff. Tracy, good evening. Hope you had a great weekend. Yep, let's take a look at Hyatt. So again, the hotel industry has been affected just like the restaurant industry and everything else. Right, here's your level, here's your trend line, here's your breakout level right here. So again, Didn't quite close above it the other day, but it did work its way up. Inside day, it closed above the inside day. Let's see if we can confirm above this trend line and maybe work its way up back up to where that 50-day moving average is. Good stuff. Almeo Ali, what's going on? AAL, let's take a look. Yeah, American Airlines. The airlines have been brutalized. So you guys can see here, last time we talked about it, we had this breakout candle right here. Came back in, but it formed a pivot, right? Tagged it a little bit, next pivot, right? But we have a fresh low since then. So fresh low, fresh trend line. So we go here, here, and now that prior pivot becomes part of the trend line. So now this is the first kind of breakout point right here. So let's see if we can close bullishly above that, right? And then maybe try to work its way up a little bit. Nasty doji candle right at the trend line with volume on Thursday. Ugh. It makes it tough. Cherry, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. I hope you had a great weekend. Happy Easter. CRW day. Yeah, so CRWD is interesting, right? It was put in this bull flag. We just haven't had any real confirmation candles out of this, right? It's just rejected by the cloud, right? Really rejected by the cloud on Thursday at the 8 EMA. So it's at a key level right here. Let's wait for a breakout candle. Let's see if it can start moving again. Otherwise, it's in the chop slot. And the Qs. Let's take a look. Yeah, so the Qs, again, very similar to the rest of it. Inside day up and kind of came back down again. So it's just sort of in this kind of choppy zone right now. Let's see if we can get some strength and get above these levels here. And then Zoom. Poor Zoom, it's just been back and forth. Google stopped using them and all that stuff, but I don't think people are stopping with this one. So again, it's back below the 80 EMA. Let's see if we can confirm over these levels, get an inside day up, ideally, and then we get this gap up here to see if we work on that. Otherwise, it's kind of hanging on and holding on to that 50 moving average. So see how it continues to test that one. My pleasure. Thank you. Praveen, what's going on? Yeah, Intel. Let's take a look. Yeah, Intel rough day on Thursday, right? Doji sandwich down. Pushed down below 50 moving average, but held its 80 EMA. So you can see how it bounced off of that area right there. So at this point, maybe it's working on a potential, bull flag type thing. So it's having trouble getting over the cloud right here. Honestly, I'd probably just, not mess with this too, unless the semiconductors get really hit again on Thursday. Most of the semis got pretty bad, right? Like MU had a nasty bearish engulfing candle. In fact, that's going on the bearish radar right there. MU, Nvidia, very similar type stuff, rough candles. AMD, lots of nasty pullbacks on these ones. So just be careful with that one, but it could be one to look at, for sure. Sometimes a little more interesting to trade. Fabian, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. OW. What about OW? I'm not sure. You might be doing an abbreviation that I just don't know. Overwatch? I'm not sure. Esmond, what's going on? Walmart? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so Walmart, interesting, right? So it had a nice little breakout right here. Good candle, right? Broke above the cloud, and they got some nice follow through to the upside on that. So, great candle on this day right here. These are tough ones, right? When you get close to these all-time highs, you get these big candles like Chewy, right? So it's tough to get long off of that, right? Because sometimes they can consolidate and pull back, but it's hanging in there, right? Held its 80 EMA, worked its way up. So, we do look for, bullish setups on Walmart. I mean, generally the trend is now, uppish. Right, so we go here and here, right? So it is holding this trend line. So definitely look for some opportunities on that one. It got a buy rating of at 140. Yeah. I mean, Walmart's super strong. I mean, Walmart is just in business still, right? So that's a good thing. So good. MU got a bearish. Yeah, MU is just saved all the semiconductors just got hit on Friday. So just got a bearish engulfing candle on Friday. So just kind of follow that nasty volume right there too. So again, all the semis got hit. Praveen, is it worth to buy long-term CCL for 2021? I wouldn't mess with it. Personally, it's a tough one to trade in general. I mean, I don't get anything long term. I mean, because you could be chopping around in here for a long time, right? That's going to just crush your premiums. But it's up to you. You can kind of catch. If you really believe it's going to work its way up, it could. I think the cruise lines are going to be messed for a while, but I think they're going to lag the airline. So something to keep an eye on right there. But look for setups that make sense. If you get a breakout candle, it's something you could look to get into. I don't know how much they're going to recover right now. I really don't. No clue. Booking for next year has started. It's possible. So it's something to look at. Definitely interesting. I don't usually go that type of speculative long term, but it could be something to look at. Yeah, Fabian, OVV. Sorry about that. Yeah, and you probably wrote it. I just saw like OW. Yeah, so OVV, this thing is interesting here. It's starting to kind of curl its way up. We're not really getting any breakout candles, right, out of this out of its recent big down move, right. So we've got this going on here. So it's kind of slowly working its way up to this trend line. Just be careful with it, right. So this is not one I'd really mess with right now, but I see what you're saying. You're looking at so it's starting to curl its way up, but it needs to confirm at this point. So this thing could be down here for a long time, right? And then by the time it may start moving, you might have earnings. So just keep an eye on that one. Esmond, so when do you trade? Do you trade off of TA? Yeah, I use technical analysis. I mean, I like to incorporate news the best I can. I don't just ignore it completely, right? So it's an important, thing to keep in mind, of course. But primarily technical analysis. Yeah, no problem, Praveen. Thank you. Great thinking. Yeah, news. Yeah, I don't trade. If you're asking, I don't trade off of fundamentals. Everything's overvalued. So it's like 10. Everything's traded. Was traded 10 times the earnings. So it's just like, there's plenty of setups that we get that work great. Esmond, CCL is going to take a while. Yeah, it could. It sure could. Yeah, and that's the debate right there. There's no it's a guessing game, right, like that. So good stuff, Fabian. Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, guys. Wow, lots of new faces tonight. So if you guys are new here, definitely click subscribe on YouTube. We do this every market night, and we go through new technical ideas, and we take chart requests, answer questions, things like that. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Definitely click subscribe. Also, whether you're new or not, definitely hit the like button. We always appreciate that. And be sure to check out our links in the description. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. Thank you again for tuning in and for the great chart requests. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning on the Good Morning Market Prep. And also we're doing a little special too in our group. If you're not a member and you're interested in jumping on a couple of our live streams in the morning, we go live at the open with our group. We're going to be doing that for 2 days, a little Easter special on Monday and Tuesday. If you email me at John, I'll put it down here. If you email me at john@positivetrends.com and just request to jump on the live streams in the morning, we do it through Zoom, and you guys can I'll get you in there too, and you guys can kind of hang out with us in the morning. We got a great group, and we look at what the market's doing at the open. We go through futures, we look for setups, things like that. If anything's looking interesting, so good stuff. Good thoughts on SPY in the next week. Yeah, I mean we again just sort of like the SPX, like we looked at the beginning, same thing, right? So with oops, sorry, wrong box there. So with SPY, we've shifted out of the macro trend lines right here, so we are trending up. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of pullback to it and then work its way back up. We could be working on a macro wave 5 down. So if we break, but I won't worry about that until we break down below this trend line here. So that's a possibility as well. Yeah, stimulus checks coming out this week, so that'll help everybody out for like a day. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, we'll see how we do. See how we hold this trend line right here. But generally bullish until proven otherwise, because we have broken out of the downward trend. So good stuff, guys. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. Thank you again for tuning in. Great comments. Really appreciate it. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow. And same bat time, same bat channel. And have a great night, everybody. Thanks again for your support. And remember your risks first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And I'll talk to you guys soon.